We are going to also introduce a new segment this week, a segment called Science or Fiction. In this segment, I am going to challenge my panel of skeptics. I have 3 news items, scientific breakthroughs, scientific news items from the past week. I'm going to read you a brief summary of each of those items. The trick is that one of these items is not real. One of these items is fiction. The other 2 are genuine scientific breakthroughs. One is fiction. The challenge for you two this week is to try to decide which one is the fake one.
Mere child's play.
You have to bring all of your skeptical tools to bear to see if you could sniff out the fake. You can make your comments about each one as I present them, but wait until I've stated all 3 before you make your guess as to which one is fake. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's play.
Go for it.
Item number 1. Dolphins have been observed not only using tools, but also teaching tool use to their children. This is the first example of cultural tool use in a non-primate species. That's item number 1.
Interesting.
Item number 2. Astronomers have discovered an Earth-like planet orbiting a nearby star, 50 light-years from Earth. This is the first Earth-sized planet discovered around another star, and astronomers say there are indications that the planet has an atmosphere. This is the best candidate so far for extraterrestrial life.
How far?
It's about 50 light-years from our system.
All right.
Item number 3. French scientists have discovered a way to keep water from freezing at hundreds of degrees below zero, near absolute zero. Those are your 3 items. What are your thoughts?
I've got problems with all of them.
I know. That's why they were chosen.
Okay. The dolphins. You said one thing at the end, though, that piqued my interest there. You said that it's the first non-primate species shown to use tools?
Well, cultural tool use. In other words, it's not something that's just innate. They're actually teaching this to their young.
Because when you said that, I thought of because I know there are birds that will actually use tools in this to.
And there's some birds have some problem-solving skills, but
right.
this is
this is cultural. This is actually a cultural thing.
Teaching the tool use, yes.
Okay, now I mean, since of course they don't have any hands or opposable thumbs, I assume they're not using their flippers. It would have to be their mouth. So maybe somehow they're using their mouth to manipulate an object that they find on the sea floor. I don't think that's.
As for me, I'm going to say the first one is the truth. I recently, within the last week, saw a special, I think on Discovery Channel. You know, it showed dolphins being very sophisticated. Particularly, the thing that they showed that really struck me was how 2 males would team up for a long time and keep a female hostage between the 2 of them. Swim around with her, never let her get very far from them.
I've heard of that.
For months.
Months?
For months they would keep her, so that she would only mate with them.
They're smart critters.
She tried to get away, they would attack her and really keep her corralled.
Now,
anyway, so it sounds accurate to me. First,
the second one has got to be false. We simply are not at the.
It's too far.
No, not actually.
50 light years.
50 light years is not too far. It's the actual size that can't be right. Earth-sized planets, we simply don't have the technology yet to ascertain to determine or to find planets that are Earth-sized. Typically, the only things we find are bigger than actually Jupiter. So we're talking, thousands and thousands of times bigger than the Earth.
It went beyond that too, Bob. He said that they had evidence that there was an atmosphere on it.
Well, that's possible. I mean, you could. I think using
size.
Using something.
All it requires is spectroscopic analysis of the light coming from the
Spectroscopy would tell you if there are certain elements in the atmosphere. That's not what concerns me. It's the size, and that's just too small. We're not close to detecting Earth size yet.
That one sounds false to
We
me.
will get there though. We will get there, but we're not there yet. Now that it doesn't matter what technique they're using. They could be using the gravitational disturbance of the parent star, caused by the planet. Still, Earth-sized planets are just too small to create a nudge that's detectable yet.
Now the last one about the water. I mean, it's
impressive. Let me make one more comment about the second one. The other technique is actually, when it was recently perfected, they've actually They claim to have discovered a planet that was the first planet discovered purely from the reflected light from the parent star, which is quite an achievement. But still, that was a huge planet, a huge amount of light, relatively speaking.
So you don't think we're ready for this breakthrough yet?
No, not yet. We will definitely get there, and maybe relatively soon. Maybe 10 years, 6 years. But I've heard nothing approaching Earth-sized yet. And the third one, Perry, did you want to comment on the water?
I was simply saying that it's impressive, but it simply seems more reasonable. Not precisely sure how you go about doing it.
Even though they were French scientists?
Yeah, well, we're bending our disbelief for the moment.
What temperature did you say, Steve? You mentioned near absolute zero?
Single digits.
Single degrees near absolute zero.
Yeah. 8 degrees, I think, was the figure given.
That's crazy.
That's that's liquid water. I don't see that happening.
Well, you gotta choose between the two of them.
I know that's just too damn cold. I mean, even moving water can get colder than 32 just by the fact that it's moving. Will lower the freezing temperature a little bit, but to that degree, maybe there's some sort of state they can get water into that makes it somewhat immune to freezing. But I can't imagine what that might be. Let's see what could they possibly do to liquid water to maintain that state? Even that close.
Move it at an incredibly high speed.
So it's time to cast your votes.
By definition,
I still think number 2 is less reasonable.
Perry votes for number 2, the Earth-sized planet around another star.
Is what science or fiction?
As the fake one, as the fiction.
As the fiction.
Now there's two fictions, aren't there? Two fictions?
No, there's one fiction. There's 2 are real.
Right.
Steve, I could have sworn you said one real, 2 fiction.
Two are science, 1 is fiction.
These rules are not complicated.
Okay, then there's got to be 2. 2 is definitely fiction.
So you both cast your vote for 2.
Correct.
Too small.
Okay. Well, you are both good skeptics. You got the correct answer.
Of course we are. Now, how did the scientists do that with the water, Steve?
I'm dying.
Well, let's take them in order. Let's take them in order.
I'm dying.
A group of dolphins living off the coast of Australia teach their offspring to use their snouts with sponges while foraging for food in the sea floor. So they actually put sponges on their noses to protect them while foraging on the sea floor.
How do they do this?
And then they stick it on there, and then they caught mothers teaching this to their children.
That's fascinating. So if they get like
so you were right. Your intuition was right. It was something they do use their snout, not their flippers.
Absolutely. So if they get like a red sponge and stick it to their nose, they look kind of like clownfish. Is that how it works?
I guess so. This was by Kreutz and colleagues. They analyzed 13 what they're calling spongers and 172 non-spongers, and concluded that the practice seems to be passed along family lines, primarily from mothers to daughters for some reason.
That's very believable. I mean, they're just so intelligent.
Women do most of the work in the animal kingdom, that's why.
Seems very likely that if they could improvise some sort of tool use with their snouts. Okay, makes sense.
Now you're absolutely right with number 2. I think that is eventually going to be a headline,
right.
But it's just a few years too early.
Mm-hmm.
But Bob is just too up to date on the planet hunting state of the art.
You guys did too.
You did, but Bob had the details. It's true. You both sniffed that one out.
Now water me. Come on, tell me how can they do this?
Here's the headline. You're gonna love it. Nanotube water doesn't freeze, even at hundreds of degrees below zero. So what French scientists have done is they are using the carbon nanotubes as a template, and the water molecules filling these tubes take on a similar structure, where the hydrogen and oxygen atoms form a lattice-like bond. And it will not freeze. It will continue to flow through this tube, even down to near absolute temperatures.
That's fascinating. My God! It changes the molecular arrangement of the water.
Yeah, it actually changes the molecular arrangement of the water.
But can you still consider it liquid water though?
That's a good question. I didn't say it remained a liquid. I said it didn't freeze.
Okay.
It may actually be another state of water. It may not technically be the same state as normal liquid water.
Sort of plasmic?
It's not a plasma. I mean, it's a new. And I don't know if they're actually going to call it a new phase, but it definitely is a new state that water is in. And it is more like liquid than like ice. It certainly does not form ice crystals. It stays in this lattice formation and does not freeze into the normal crystalline structure that water ice has.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't sound like any of the other states of matter could account for that. I mean, you couldn't. It doesn't sound liquid to me. It doesn't sound. Maybe it's a different type of solid. It's definitely not the other types like plasma that Perry mentioned, or some of the more exotic ones, the Bose-Einstein condensates and the fermionic condensates. It can't be that either. So maybe it's a new type of solid for water.
It's interesting as heck.
Very interesting. It remains to be seen what the applications of this would be, but these nanotubes technology is very, very new and very, very active area of research, and this is just one example.
The applications appear to be just utterly mind-boggling for these nanotubes. I've never seen a discovery take off in quite the way that nanotubes has. I mean, just from the get-go, the interest was worldwide, and since then they found potential applications from computing to fibers to all sorts of applications, electronics. It's amazing how versatile this material appears to be. We'll be hearing a lot about nanotubes.
Very interesting.